Hello friends, it's Lex at LexReads. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going through my July 2021 wrap-up. Let's just get into it. I only read 3 books this month, which I don't know why I said only. That is more than I have read almost every month this year. I read 3 books in February, 3 books in March, and now 3 months in July because I've been in the worst reading slump of all time. The first book that I read this month was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I read this because on the whole, thrillers are typically a very effective way for me to get out of reading slumps. And I did do a reading vlog for this book I published that video earlier this week. I will post the link down below. It'll also be up in the card if that's something you're interested in. But this is by Grady Hendrix. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. What to say about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires? Well, I guess we can start with our little synopsis. We are following a woman named Patricia. They live in the South during the 90s. I believe the whole thing takes place in the 90s. Maybe the very late 80s, early 90s, but definitely 90s. And she is a housewife. She's married to a pretty notable psychiatrist in society. And she has 2 kids. She's kind of bored, and so her husband recommends she joins a book club. She joins said book club. After a particularly notable book club meeting, she's approached by some of the other women who say, "We are going to actually make our own book club, and we're going to read this." And they give her a true crime novel. And she at first is like, "That's dumb. I'm not going to read that. That's trashy." And then she reads it in like a day and joins this book club. Shortly thereafter, a man named James Harris moves in to take care of his dying great aunt. And Patricia, she becomes convinced that James Harris is up to no good, that he is hurting the children, that something bad is happening. And so she and her book club team up to slay a vampire. It's not a spoiler. It's literally the title. I thought it was really good. I shared a lot of my thoughts on it on the review part of my video, but basically what it boils down to is I really appreciated how well written the women were. There was some commentary on sexism, misogyny, the gaslighting of women, racism, content warnings. There's a good handful. We have mentioned rape. There's not a rape scene, but they talk about rape, so it's not just mentioned in passing. We get a little bit of description on that. Assault, gaslighting, manipulation, racism. I'm gonna say lynching because there's a scene that is just close enough to lynching that I feel like it warrants a warning on that. Mentioned drug abuse, mentioned suicide. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. 4 out of 5 stars, I really liked it. Moving on. The second book that I read in July is Maggie Stiefvater's Blue Lily, Lily Blue, which I also gave 4 stars. I read these for a video, so I don't want to say too much because I want you, if you want to watch that video, I want there to still be some content left. But 4 stars, I quite liked it. Not as much as I liked the first 2. It's the 3rd book in the Raven cycle. And that video will be up next week. I think we got a really good amount of character development. I think we get to see the gang growing closer, not just as a whole, but also in smaller groups that we haven't gotten to see interact before. The two relationships, which I'm not going to spoil for you in case you haven't read it and would like to in the future, the two different relationships that are pretty central in the series are both developing very well. I cannot wait to see them both come to fruition in the 4th book. That's all I have to say about that. And the last book that I read in July, I just finished. This is Follow Me to Ground by Sue Rainsford. This book is weird. It's very short, less than 200 pages. And Kayla from Books and Lala recommended this in her weird book recommendations, and we all know that I like weird things, so I knew I had to pick it up. This is the one that spoke to me the most, so I did. I started it in December, didn't like the first 50 pages, DNF'd it, and then picked it up again yesterday, the very end of the month. Yes, so this book is very weird. We follow Ada and her father. Ada is our protagonist. They are not entirely human. They live on the outskirts of this very small rural town. They never specify where. But it's very strange. It feels to me like this is set in the past, but it can't be too far in the past because we have modern amenities, we have cars, we have things like that. So this is at least modern. But it reads a little bit like it's historical, and part of that comes from Ada and her father being not human. They've lived for quite a long time. They are not born, they come from the ground, and they heal people. They have this kind of, I don't know what to call it, I'm going to call it magic for just ease of explanation. They have this ability to open people up, look and see what is wrong with them, and take it out. Sometimes that healing involves burying them in the ground for days, hours, weeks, until they are healed. Yeah. So Ada and her father both heal people. They call humans cures because that's basically what they do. They cure them. This feels like literary fiction to me, kind of, in the sense that it, in a lot of ways, is kind of rambling and profound in a way that kind of goes over my head a little bit. A lot of people say that this book is scary. I did not think it was scary at all. It did make me deeply uncomfortable in a lot of ways. But I didn't think it was scary, just kind of off-putting. We also have this relationship between Ada and one of the cures that, in a lot of ways, is the instigating event for the plot of the story. It's very weird. I gave this one also 4 stars. I was between 3 and 4 stars for a really long time. Because like I said, I didn't like the beginning. But once I hit the midpoint or so of the book, I was very invested in Ada and her father and her story. It's very weird. She, I would say, is kind of like a morally gray character. She's not necessarily good, but she's also not necessarily bad. It's very weird. There's some stuff that might be upsetting, but if you like weird, upsetting things, might be a book to check out. Kayla maybe did a better job of explaining why she liked this, so check out her video if you want a better explanation on what this book is about. 3 books, all 4 out of 5 stars. Hopefully my reading slump is broken. It seems like they are. I read all of these in a week, so it seems to me like we might be past this current reading slump, which we love to see. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm back to regularly scheduled content. I upload a video every Wednesday and also sometimes a bonus video on Sundays, but Wednesday is my scheduled upload day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you guys again next Wednesday. Goodbye, friends! Mwah!